Okay, 3, 2, 1.
This video compares the soundtracks of Cowboy Bebop and Lazarus, two science fiction projects by Shinichirō Watanabe. Cowboy Bebop follows a crew of bounty hunters drifting through a fractured solar system, each burdened by a past that they can't escape. The series explores isolation, identity, and the quiet spaces between survival and meaning. Lazarus takes place in a near-future society thrown into crisis by a powerful drug capable of altering human consciousness. A specialized task force is created to stop the mastermind behind it before the world collapses into chaos. Even though they're separated by decades, listening to them side by side shows how Watanabe's relationship to music and the way he builds sci-fi worlds through sound has changed over time. Cowboy Bebop, released in 1998, became known as much for its soundtrack as its story. The composer, Yoko Kanno, approached the score with a kind of freedom that wasn't common in anime at the time. An article from Dazed describes how Kanno pushed anime scoring into jazz, blues, and big band territory, genres not usually associated with sci-fi. Another article from Comic Book Resources explains that many tracks were composed way before animation, which meant the animators were responding to the music rather than the other way around. Because of this, Bebop's world feels rhythmic and emotional, a future shaped by memory, movement, and improvisation. Lazarus, releasing in 2025, takes a very different musical approach. Instead of a jazz-driven energy, it leans into experimental jazz, electronics, and layered textures from artists like Kamasi Washington, Floating Points, and Bonobo. In a New York Times interview, Watanabe explained that he wanted the score to sound like the future of jazz, and intentionally avoiding leaning on the nostalgia of Cowboy Bebop. Kamasi Washington described in The Verge how much freedom he was given. Watanabe encouraged the musicians to go cosmic, unpredictable, and intense. And in the Polygon interview, Watanabe talked about how today's electronic and experimental sounds better maps the type of sci-fi story he wanted to tell in Lazarus. Bebop uses jazz to create a world that feels human, loose, and spontaneous. Lazarus uses electronic and experimental jazz to create a future that feels unstable, high pressure, and almost overwhelming. Bebop carries a sense of loneliness and longing. Every instrument feels like it has a past. Lazarus feels sharper and heavier, like the world itself is collapsing in real time. In an interview, Bonobo explained that Watanabe treats music almost like the foundation of a scene, influencing its rhythm and movement. This is the same approach that made Cowboy Bebop so distinctive. Both anime build their emotional world around the soundtrack, just in very different sonic languages.
If I could go to outer space tomorrow, if I could live beyond the sky, if I could leave the earth forever, what would I decide?
When you use music as a lens, you start to see how each show imagines the future. Cowboy Bebop suggests a future where people carry emotion and memory with them, no matter how far they travel. Lazarus imagines a future shaped by control, chemicals, technology, and pressure, and the music captures that collapse. And looking at it from the sci-fi perspective, each soundtrack becomes symbolic. In Bebop, jazz represents freedom, improvisation, and individuality. In Lazarus, electronics and layered experimental jazz represents distortion, fragmentation, and systems that overpower human agency. What I took away from comparing these two is just how much music can shape the entire feeling of a sci-fi world. Bebop feels human because its music is human. Lazarus feels alien and intense because its sound pushes into places that feel unfamiliar. Both soundtracks expand what science fiction can be, not just visually, but sonically.